strong.
Welcome back to Crypto for Freedom, where we talk about gaining financial freedom through the cryptocurrency markets. Today we're talking about Bitcoin and Dogecoin. We're going to be talking about the 7-year cycle theory a little bit later in the video, so make sure to stick around to the end. If you guys like the video, make sure to smash the likes and subscribe to the channel. All right, let's jump into the video. All right, you guys, looks like Bitcoin is breaking back into its bear market range here, or at least wanting to. And if we take the parallel regression channel from the last bull market, and we'll just draw a line here, we can see that Bitcoin makes these channels throughout its history, and it looks like it could be coming back down to the bottom of this channel here. Let's see what kind of drop that would be. 76%. That's the kind of drop we had in our last bear market. 76% drop. Now we see here 76% drop. So maybe we have another 76% drop. Maybe we have diminishing losses, and maybe, you know, this is actually our bull market range right here for the bull market, and we're heading back down to the bottom of this bull market range like I've been talking about, and getting ready to head into the bear market range, which is going to be this range here. And we'll go ahead and make this a different color real quick just so you guys don't get confused. We'll make this background red. Okay. So we got the bull market range, bear market range. Now, I talked about this a few weeks on the channel, how when we come to the top of the bull market, we usually see a 50% drop down to the bottom of this range, and we've seen it multiple times. Here we only saw a 30% drop. But now that we're actually experiencing a top of the market here, it does look like we're actually about to experience that 50% drop down to the bottom of this range here. Now, I think that's where we're actually going to see a chop zone for Bitcoin rather than back up here like everybody else was talking about. They were saying we're going to see this chop zone here. We're actually going to see that up here. But in my opinion, we're actually going to see this chop zone down over here. So maybe we'll see, you know, us form a new range, a new bear flag here. We already, we already came up and formed a downtrend here, a trend line. And every single cycle, Bitcoin ends up making these descending wedges here. And it's happened multiple times. Back in 2021, it happened right here. Descending wedge. Okay, it also happened after the 2017 peak. Bitcoin made a descending wedge here. So connect that to here. And it also made it back over here after the 2013 peak. Bitcoin has continued to make these descending wedge patterns over and over again throughout its history. And I think the same thing is happening right now before our eyes. Usually the price likes to... Oh, got a little messed up there. Usually the price likes to ride the top line and then fall to the bottom. Did it again over here, rides the top, falls to the bottom. Rides the top, then falls to the bottom. And right now we rode the top a little bit, and I think we're getting ready to fall to the bottom even more, back into our bear market range, which is, you know, this red parallel channel here. It's ascending, so, you know, we could be seeing a lot lower prices for Bitcoin. Stick around to the end of the video. I'll talk more about my price prediction there. But if we take a look at the moving averages, we see that every time that Bitcoin falls below the 50-week moving average, which is the blue moving average on the screen, that the price likes to go down to the 100-week moving average. And that happened there. Happened again here. Once the price fell through here, it went to the 100-week moving average here. Did it again here, and also again, looks like it's happening again right now, where it fell through the 50-week moving average and then it fell through the 100-week moving average. So once it falls through the 100-week moving average, Bitcoin likes to go to the 200-week. And back in 2015 and 2018, the price actually held the 200-week moving average as support, but in 2022, it fell through it. And I do believe we're going to fall through it again, which actually brings the 300-week moving average into play here, because we didn't quite reach the moving average, the 300-week moving average there. And we did reach it here, though, for this drop. We fell through it here, and I do believe we're going to fall through it again in the most recent cycles, in the most recent bear market here that's happening now. So let me delete all these arrows real quick, and we'll go ahead and turn these moving averages back off. Now let's talk about the Gajian Channel. This is the weekly Gajian Channel. Now it hasn't flipped red yet, but every single time it flipped red, we found a bottom shortly after. So that happened here. And if we use the date range tool, we can see that once we flipped red on the weekly channel for the Gajian Channel, it only took 35 days there. Back over here, it only took 42 days to find a bottom. Over here, it took quite a bit longer. I mean, we found a capitulation bottom here at 28 days, but we took a little bit longer at 161 days to find a bottom. So we're still waiting for the 7-day, the weekly Gajian Channel to flip red, and then that should give us a little bit more idea where the exact bottom might be. Also, the 6-day hasn't flipped red yet, but the 5-day has flipped red. And if you take a look at the RSI, we can see that the RSI on the daily chart hasn't been this oversold basically the whole bull run until now. So the last time it was this oversold was back over here in August of 2023, when the bull run was just getting started. It wasn't even this low back over here at the bottom. So, and then flipping to the 3-day, we can see that we're oversold, way oversold on the 3-day as well, which, is kind of conducive to see maybe a little bit of a bounce here for Bitcoin at the bottom of this bull market range. We're definitely seeing oversold prices on the 3-day for the RSI. On the 5-day, we're oversold as well. We're looking, pretty low here. Like, we only get low during these bear market times. So, we're just getting to that way oversold part for the 5-day, and on the weekly chart we're oversold again. So if you guys you can just see visually that every time we're at these oversold levels, this is like getting near to a bottom. So we could go more oversold, and I think Bitcoin actually could go a lot further down the chart. I do think it's going to end up filling this descending wedge and coming to the bottom of this descending wedge pattern down here. Maybe we come back up and back test, but I think ultimately we're coming down here by October of 2026, and we're going to keep doing the same thing that it's done every single time. That's the 4-year cycle theory for Bitcoin. And if we're going to be seeing lower prices for Bitcoin, what does that mean for Dogecoin? Well, Dogecoin just dropped below 10 cents today. We're at 0.0923, and we're making this descending channel. And I do think that we're going to be entering back into this this box here, this 5 cent bear market box down here. And if we look at we can look at some indicators for Dogecoin as well, like the Gajian Channel. So let's turn that back on. Let's turn the Gajian Channel back on, and we can see that on the weekly chart we actually did go ahead and flip red for the weekly Gajian Channel, which every single time that happens, we don't break back above the Gajian Channel for a long period of time. Once we're in it, back over here, it took 707 days to break above the Gajian Channel. Once we broke into it, back over here in 2022, it took 651 days to break above it. So now that we're actually below the Gajian Channel on the weekly chart and it's flipped red, could we be seeing another 700 days until we break above this Gajian Channel, reaching all the way out until see 700 days would be November of 2027. You could have a big accumulation range for Dogecoin. So if you're wanting to accumulate Dogecoin cheap, this could be a good time over the next 700 days to continue to accumulate your position. And flipping over to the 7-year cycle theory for Dogecoin, that if we had 700 more days to accumulate, that would bring us out to the end of 2027 before Doge start outperforming Bitcoin. So I do think that Dogecoin will end up breaking through this downtrend line, just like we did over here, where we had some spike up and then we finally broke through it. Now we're having spike up, and I think we're going to eventually see Dogecoin lose a lot more value compared to Bitcoin, breaking through this line, coming back up and testing it as support or as resistance, and then eventually coming back down just like it did over here. Or maybe we drop all the way down quicker than that, and then we form some sort of channel down here. But I do think eventually 700 days from now, there could be a good opportunity to trade a little bit of your Bitcoin for Dogecoin and go out on the risk curve to eventually see Dogecoin outperform Bitcoin. Just like it did back over here in the 2021 cycle, where we could see, if we draw a bars pattern and we take this 7-year cycle and we overlay it over here, we could see, something like this happen again, where we see a new high for Dogecoin against Bitcoin in October of 2028 or sometime in the second half of 2028. And that's where we would see, an accumulation range for Dogecoin. And you'd want to, stack your Dogecoin over the next 700 days to eventually accumulate, and where we could eventually see, a move like this happen again with massive gains, coming in the future for Dogecoin. But you have to hold out. You have to be long-term convicted. You have to continue to dollar cost average into your plays. You have to be have an emergency fund. You have to have constant streams of income coming in. If you want to end up seeing this, massive, maybe 4,000% gain and see Dogecoin come up to $3 or higher than that in the future, you guys got to be in it for the long term. So stay convicted in your plays, stay grounded, keep working hard, keep stacking that emergency fund, keep paying off that debt, keep doing your own research. And if you guys like this video, make sure to smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, go down into the description, check out all my links below in the description for my playlist. And just remember that none of this is financial advice. Always do your own research. If you guys want to see that massive gain, this one was a 30,000% gain. Who knows if we're ever going to see that kind of gain again for Bitcoin or for Dogecoin. In this last bull run, we only saw a 700% gain. That's the same thing Bitcoin did. We want to see way higher gains than that. We want to see, 10,000%. We want to see 30,000%. So you guys just keep holding on, keep dollar cost averaging into your positions, study the charts. Hopefully someday we will end up seeing a 30,000% gain and see Dogecoin come up to $18 in the future. And so hang on tight, you guys. And with that, we'll see you on the next video. Peace.